Your organization would prefer a flat tax with a single rate, which I think is exactly the right way to go. Would you tell us what that rate would be and how this would work?
Well, obviously, we want the rate to be as low as possible. There's not some fixed percentage of your income that the government has a right to. I think a lot of people point out that in the Bible, God asks for 10%, and when He warns people against having kings, He says, you don't want a king. The king will take 20% of what you earn. That's crazy. So the Bible says no more than 20%. I think, and certainly I can't see why the government should get more than you're supposed to give to God in tithing. So, I don't know, somewhere around 10%, but we ought to get it down as low as we can. Used to be 3% with the federal government before the government decided to fix the panic of 1929 and created the Great Depression.
With all of the taxes that we are under, wouldn't you agree that a person pays back 50 to 60% or more of their income to the federal government?
Certainly a lot of people are paying 50%. The total cost of government, if you add taxes, spending, and the regulatory burden that people face. When the government says if you buy a car, it has to have these things in it. That's not a tax, but it might as well be. It's a regulatory burden that you have to pay for. It's as if it was a tax. And that averages, and for the whole country, that's more than 50%. Now, obviously, somebody on welfare is paying nothing. And so some people are paying more than 50%. Federal, state, and local government together.
The current economic slowdown will undoubtedly increase the federal deficit. Raising taxes or letting the Bush tax cut expire can only stifle our recovery. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. What we need to do is reduce spending, not raise taxes to pay for past mistakes.
The ATR started the Cost of Government Day, the day in which Americans stop working to pay the cost of taxation, deficit spending, and regulations. What day of the year is that?
Comes around January 12th to July 12th or so. It changes each year. Sometimes it gets a little better, sometimes it gets a little worse. Unfortunately, during the Bush years, it's gotten worse, not better.
That is an amazing statistic right there. I found that on your website. I'd heard that before. I didn't know exactly where it come from, but I know now it's Americans for Tax Reform, and that's just an amazing statistic. Are you attending the Freedom Rally tax protest in Washington Tuesday?
Well, we're going to be doing a press conference and event on Capitol Hill with all of the major taxpayer groups and a bunch of congressmen, and I hope to go down and do the rally too.
The crew here from The Real News will be there, and would love to get to meet you personally.
Oh, that'd be good.
I'd also like to give you an opportunity, if there's anything you would like to say, comment on the passing of Charlton Heston.
Oh, well, he was a great American. My wife and I stayed up till like 3:30 last night watching two of his films, Ben-Hur, and it was just, it was very sad to lose him. He was, I think, 5 years president of the National Rifle Association. Usually, people serve 1 or 2 years, but because he was such a help to the movement, because he really rallied people to the cause, there was a lot of respect for him. People looked up to his leadership. I think during the time when he was the head of the National Rifle Association is when, as much as anything has been permanently won, we have moved forward the cause of the Second Amendment in a way that I think it'll be difficult, if not impossible, for the left to take away.
Well, Mr. Norquist, I consider you a real patriot. It was an honor to have you here on the Real News. Everyone needs to get a copy of your book, Leave Us Alone. And I would like to give you this opportunity as we close to tell our listeners how we can get involved with your organization to help make some real change over this taxation travesty that we're under.
Absolutely. Love to have people come visit us at our website, atr.org.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and we will have you on again. I appreciate you being on the program.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to go to a break, and we'll come back with your phone call, 704-873-1400. Let's hear what you got to say. All right, you're back on the Real News. If you'd like to call in, 704-873-1400. I got something I want to share with you here. Tax his land, tax his wage, tax his bed in which he lays, tax his tractor, tax his mule, teach him taxes are the rule, tax his cow, tax his goat, tax his pants, tax his coat, tax his ties and tax his shirt, tax his work, tax his dirt, tax his tobacco, tax his drink, tax him if he tries to think, tax his tires, tax his career, if he cries, tax his tears, tax his bills, tax his gas, tax his notes, tax his cash, tax him good and let him know that after taxes he has no go. If he hollers, tax him some more. Tax him until he's good and sore. Tax his coffin, tax his grave, tax the sod in which he lays. Put these words upon his tomb, taxes drove me to my doom. And when he's gone, we won't relax, we'll still be after the inheritance tax. And that's where we're at today, people. So if you'd like to call in and comment, if you're undertaxed, not taxed enough, please call in and let us know. Maybe we can make a place for you to make a donation here to Iredell County, the federal government. We're $9 trillion past bankrupt. It appears they could use any help they could get. They wouldn't have to borrow quite as much from China. But the phone number is 704-873-1400, and our Davie County number is 336-499-0681. Taxes, taxes, taxes. When you cruise on over to the gas station to fill up your car's gas tank, you naturally assume that you're paying for gas. But what you don't realize is that over half of what you pay goes to the government in taxes rather than for gas. The federal government adds an excise tax of 18.3 cents on every gallon of gas. Each state then adds additional excise tax, now averaging 19.4 cents per gallon, but North Carolina's kind enough to have one of the highest gas taxes. That adds up to a total of 37.7 cents per gallon. Based on recent price data from Energy Information Administration of the U.S. Department of Energy, these taxes account for about 28% of what you pay for a gallon of gas at the pump. For a car with a standard 15-gallon gas tank, a tax of 37.7 cents per gallon adds up to $5.66 per fill-up. The Tax Foundation estimates that the average American household will spend $422 this year on the gas taxes alone. But that's not all. The government imposes 43 different direct and indirect taxes on the production and distribution of gas. The total tax burden amounts to 54% of the price of a gallon of gas. Your electric bill, 11.2% of your electric bill is taxes. On average, $206 per year minimum tax. Your loaf of bread, from the farm to the store, 27.2% of what you pay for the bread goes back to the government in taxes. Tires really bring in the money. 36% of the sale price of a tire goes straight into the government coffers on taxes. Your phone bill, this is a real winner for them. 50% turns into taxes in various ways. Guns, now they vary more from state to state, but 30 to 46% of the price of your gun goes to taxes. Incredibly, the average family pays more in taxes today than for food and clothing and shelter combined. Let that sink in. The average family pays more in taxes today than for food, clothing, and shelter combined. We've got a phone call. I'll come back to this after the phone call. Are you with me today?
I'm with you. This is Bill Anderson. I'd like to comment on the Social Security tax.
Yes, sir. You go ahead and say what you got to say.
I was a commercial bank manager for the biggest part of my life. My bank was a member of a banking league. Each month they sent us a bulletin. On one of those bulletins, there was an article which read, "Senior